Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of whatever YouTubes I fancy doing at the time, no rhyme or reason. But this one is a lovely French and swirly kind of design. Lovely autumn colours, let me know what you think. Right, let's go. So this kind of smudgy effect that's really popular is very fast, very easy. Blob your colours on, make sure there's some contrasting colours in there. I always add a little bit of white or a little bit of black just to give it a bit of something, and don't cure that layer, and then take your ombre brush and just lightly drag through with a really light pressure. Don't overblend it because it'll just go to one colourful mush. But there you go, you've got a really fast, easy sort of smudgy effect really. I love that design, it should be used more. It's a really good filler design if that makes any sense. So the next one we are going to do a French. So I'm using the lighter colour, this is Mink from my collection, the Hues collection, and I'm going to use the A method to do my French. So I'm going to leave myself a couple of little markers on either side in the colour that I'm going to be using. Don't cure them or anything, and then use my brush, whichever brush you want to do, and drag that down to the point. I must say it is easier on a pointy nail because you've got those guidelines, but even on a square nail or a coffin shaped nail, do the same thing. Repeat on the other side, just take your time and just drag that. Keep your brush quite flat and keep your hand in the direction that you're painting so that your lines flow nice and neatly. So bring it to a point. You've now got that lovely kind of chevron French if you want it. Then take your A marking across, so I'm just going to draw a line straight across and then just soften those corners and tidy it up. And just take your time and drag that through. Yes, before I get done, I am turning my nail upside down, and clients don't move like that. But you can flip the hand over if you need to, and this was just for the purpose of this video. I was in a little bit of a rush doing this one. Once you're happy with your French, get it in the lamp, give it a full cure, then top coat and cure. So I'm going to do a sugared French with some glitter. So I'm going to, over the top, just paint my white line on my French. So take your time. I'm using the same brush as I used before and just following that French line that I've already created. Don't cure this one. Once you're happy with this, we're going to sprinkle it with glitter. So just get it nice and neat and tidy. That's me just faffing about and then making it worse and then faffing about again. But it were alright. So I'm using a super fine glitter called Casper, which is clear with like a rainbow effect. Some foil underneath to catch it, and just sprinkle that onto the wet gel polish. Get that in the lamp, give it a full cure, and then dust off the excess, and you get that lovely sugared finish. To finish this nail, I'm just using a giant gem, which is the shell cameo from my website, and some crystal fix, which is also on there, to adhere that on there, and that'll just be finishing this nail lovely. I ain't got a clue how I just worded that, it didn't make any sense, but you get me drift. And I've got no time at all to re-record it, so there you go. This one I'm doing a nice bright pop of colour, which is Boujie with a glitter flake top coat, just to pull that brightness from the previous designs into my whole set. It'll look lovely when it's done, I promise. So for this last nail, I'm doing 2 coats of mocha gel polish, curing that, and then using the same glitter flake top coat and curing that. I'm now using a piece of the flexi striping tape in gold. I'm going to place this on top, running down the nail over the top of the top coat because I find that easier. I'm going to let it overlap on the ends, rub it down really well with my finger, and then either cut or pull the ends off, whichever one is easiest. But if you just push that down really well, the ends will just snap off, or you can trim them with scissors and then give it a top coat and cure that. Right, so we're going to do the swirls on this nail, which is a lovely feature. I'm not going to explain it too much because it is something that I feel needs a bit of training in, but hopefully you pick up some little tips and tricks. I'm using art gel, so I'm using white art gel in this design, and I'm using my small detailer brush. couple of things I find really helpful when doing swirls is remembering the pressure of my brush. So when I want it slightly thicker, I'll squash my brush down a little bit more, not necessarily putting more product on, just squashing my brush down. And then when I want it to be a little bit thinner, I'll lift my brush up a little bit. I'll also, the second thing I tend to do is I'll turn my nail or turn my brush, can you see, to match the sort of direction that my hand wants to go. When it wants to come round a corner, when your hand feels unnatural, if this makes any sense at all, then stop, turn your brush and turn your nail and let your nail just flow in the direction that your hand wants to go. And just practice really, just practice with your pressures, pressing the brush down and twisting it round. When I do these tiny little bits there, for example, nice and thin, I use the very, very point of my brush with a light pressure. So I do a sort of skeleton shape usually, but this one I was in a little bit of a rush. My brush is separating a little bit. The lovely Sammy McDougall wanted some sort of tutorial to do swirl, so that's why this is not as good as it could be. So my brush is separating a little bit, but I needed to just get it done. I will clean it halfway through and you'll see the difference. So just let your lines just flow down, squash them down, take your time. Definitely charge for a design like this if you're going to do it on your clients, because it just takes ages. Okay, this is real time. This is a, you know, a 5 to 10 minute nail. Okay, so it's going a little bit fuzzy, but you get the drift. So I'm going to do my skeleton design, and by that I mean I'm just going to fill the space, and then I'll go back in and add details if I think it needs it. Okay, so just let it flow. Just bring your hand round, move the nail round. I know everyone will say you can't move your client, you can't bend your client in that direction, but you actually can. You can move your hand of your client or your finger of your client one way, and your brush can come the other, and you get quite a lot of movement, quite a lot of sort of scope in it if you do it that way. I am babbling on a little bit because, like I said, I can't really teach this on a YouTube, but hopefully with a few things that I've described, you've got a little bit of an idea what to do with it. But just this kind of style is make it your own, do your swirls your way. So I'm just going to carry on with this and just fill the space so it gives me that lovely long all down the nail design all on one side. I put the striping tape underneath just to break it up really. So carry on just adding your little bits. On the ends of my swirls I tend to take the point of my brush and just give it a little flick like a little tail, can you see? I've now cleaned my brush and it's behaving so much better. So I'm just going to fill in any little spaces now and add in any extra little curls that I want. And just, again, keeping an eye on my pressure. The chunky bits, sorry it's going out of focus, but the chunky bits, putting my brush down and flattening it a little bit. And then my lighter bits are me lifting the brush up and going onto the point of my brush a little bit more. Like I said, it's only a little bit fuzzy because I really didn't have time to re-record this. Plus, I couldn't be bothered. No, I didn't have time. I'm very stuck on time to record it, to edit it and to voice over. So hopefully you've picked up some bits and bobs. So keep adding your details until you're happy with it, and once you're happy with it, give it a full cure. I'm not top coating this because it's a tack-free art gel, and I quite like the difference in the semi-matte and the shiny. So I'm just going to do a small similar design in the corner of one of the other nails, so just to tie the whole design in together. Same again, lifting my brush up, pressing my brush down and twisting my nail and my hand around, and just finish that off nicely. Add some little tails to my little swirls and a few dots here and there, and that's the design done. So that'll go in the lamp, get that cured, and that's everything done. Nice, quick, easy salon design. I hope you love them. If you do, drop me a comment and don't forget to subscribe. Have a good day.